those of you who do not know me, I am Majestic. Welcome to the Majestic family. If you're new, a double welcome. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you're already a subby, welcome back. So, if I'm being honest, I'm about tired of this old man. Like, I am so sick and tired of hearing about you, Hefner. I'm tired. I'm disgusted. Like, after this story, we're done with the Playboy, because a mess, a hot mess. And I think I'm more disgusted that Hollywood and celebrities allowed this type of stuff to continue going on, to the point now that people want to come forward after, he died, what 3 years ago, whatever. And so, but this whole Playboy Mansion situation, it's disgusting. Let's just dive into this. This video is actually about the beautiful woman of Dorothy Stratten, and she died tragically, and she was a playmate, a playboy. I think there's a difference between a playboy and a playmate, but just sad. Her story was really, really sad. So this video is another Hollywood story / scandal of Dorothy Stratten. But this article I pulled it seemed more interesting to me, and it's titled "The Story of Paul Snyder, the Jewish pimp who murdered his playmate wife." So yeah, I guess there's a difference between being a playboy and a playmate. I guess a Playboy bunny with those who like served people and served drinks and stuff, and a playmate, I think those who ended up on the cover. Let me know down below if I just really effed that up, because I honestly don't know. But Paul Snyder, actually too, my upstairs lovies, they took one of their nephews or something to a birthday party, and they had a goodie bag. So I went into the goodie bag and I pulled out these two gums, because I don't have any gum in my apartment, and these are probably the worst gums to like eat or chew, because one, they lose flavor in like 5 seconds, and then they're hard as F in 10 seconds. So, but perfect for a video, right? Double bubble watermelon flavored bubblegum. So yeah, for those who like rapper sounds, I don't know. That might have been loud. I don't know. You know how we do on this channel, so yeah, enough of that. So, okay, I'm about to read, and I don't even know if I can bite into this. Let's see. Oh God. This gum is hard as fuck. I really didn't think this through. Okay. I'm trying. Okay. Nope, we're not there yet. I thought I was. Okay. I know it's like 3 minutes of me laughing. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay. Alright, the story of Paul Snyder, the Jewish pimp who murdered his playmate wife. Paul Snyder was a lowlife of Vancouver when he met his meal ticket, Dorothy Stratten. When she outgrew him, Snyder would not stand for it. Paul Snyder wanted glitz, glamour, and fame and fortune, and he would do anything to get it. Dorothy Stratten already had it all. She was beautiful, photogenic, and had the eye of Hugh Hefner as the next superstar playboy model. Though the two were married, their relationship was fated to become a little more than an affair, an ultimate and deadly one. They actually show the wedding portrait of Dorothy and Paul. Dorothy was supposed to become the next Marilyn Monroe, the next blonde bombshell. Unfortunately, she fell in love with the wrong man. Paul Snyder, the Jewish pimp. Born 1951 in Vancouver, Paul Snyder led a life of hustling, no thanks to the circumstances of his early life. Snyder grew up in Vancouver's rough East End, where he had to make his own money in his own way. His parents divorced when he was a young boy, and he dropped out of school after 7th grade to fend for himself. He was skinny and slight, so he started working out. Within a year, Snyder bulked up and caught the attention of the ladies. He began to go to frequent nightclubs with his dashing good looks and perfectly groomed mustache. His Star of David necklace earned him the nickname the Jewish Pimp. He had a legitimate business as a promoter for auto shows at the Pacific National Exhibition, but he wanted more. So he turned to the rounder crowd, a drug gang in Vancouver. See, I always say quick money is not always good money. Quick fame is not always good fame. But the Jewish punk with a black Corvette could never quite pull off the big score when it came to drugs, because he actually hated drugs. So now you're a wannabe gangster. You're a wannabe gangster, and that already, we're headed for disaster. A fellow gang member said that Snyder, he never touched the drugs. Nobody trusted him that much, and he was scared to death of drugs. He finally lost a lot of money to loan sharks, and the rounder crowd hung him by his ankles from the 30th floor of a hotel. He had to leave town. So basically, this Snyder character is getting into a lot of trouble, getting way over his head, and can't seem to get himself out of the trouble that he makes for himself. So at the end of the day, the gang hanged him from his ankles from the 30th floor. And that's when he was like, you know what? It's time to go. He then ended up in Los Angeles, where he tried pimping on the fringe of the Beverly Hills Society. where he met his future wife. So people like this, you know, they go from town to town. They refuse to work for anything. You know, they're looking for their big meal ticket. So even after the gang roughed him up, he decided to start pimping in the streets of Beverly Hills, and that didn't work out. So he went back to Vancouver, and that's when he met Dorothy Stratten. Paul Snyder and a friend went to an East Vancouver Dairy Queen in early 1978. Behind the counter stood Dorothy Hagen. I think her name was Hagen Stratten. She was very tall, blonde, and well, gorgeous. He called her beautiful. She welcomed his advances as a shy young woman waiting to break out of her shell. Despite her good looks, Dorothy only had one boyfriend by the time she was 18. Snyder sought to change that. The friend recalled Snyder's reaction to her. That girl could make me a lot of money. And that she did, for a short time. Dorothy saw a strong man in Paul Snyder. He was 9 years older than her when they met. He was street smart. She was the girl next door. Gorgeous, but with a broken past, much like Snyder. Her father left the family when she was young, and there was not a lot of money. Snyder wooed her with clothes and diamond rings. Then he charmed her with fancy home-cooked dinners with fine wine in his posh apartment with skylights. I have a question, because that's not the first time I saw that. What does a posh apartment mean? Posh apartment, I don't know what that means. Does that mean small? Or is that what they call apartments? Vancouver, is that in Canada? Or is my, like... Yeah, let me shut up. But yeah, let me know after. What is a posh apartment? I don't know what that is. But anyway, he would charm her with fancy home-cooked dinners with fine wine in his posh apartment with skylights. He had experience with women like this before, the ones he tried to groom for Playboy, though none would prove successful like Dorothy. So it's like he had this thing that he wanted to be a pimp. You know, he wanted to have a bunch of girls. He wanted to be the one on the couch just collecting money type, you know. In August of 1978, Dorothy boarded a plane for the first time to test shots in LA. By August 1979, she was Playmate of the Month. The Playboy organization changed her last name to Stratten and saw to everything from her acne and daily exercises to her housing. There seemed to be no limits on her career from here. She earned parts in films and TVs, attraction production, talent agencies, and Paul Snyder sought to profit from every single one of them. Paul Snyder constantly reminded Dorothy that the two had a lifetime bargain and persuaded her to marry him in Las Vegas in June of 1979, just 18 months after meeting her. Dorothy was willing, saying that she can't even imagine herself being without any other man but Paul. But the relationship was far from truly mutual. Snyder never let his wife control much of anything. His dreams for his wife was really his dreams for himself. He wanted to ride on that coattail as long as possible. The couple rented another posh apartment of Hugh Hefner. She was named Playmate of the Year in 1980. And then underneath it, it says, I said to her that he had a pimp-like quality about him. Hugh Hefner. And I guess he was referring to her husband. But another article that I read, I don't remember what she was, but her name was Garcia, and she recalls telling Hefner that there was something wrong with Dorothy's husband, that he needs to watch him, that he was crazy, and that he was off. But she said she never got any phone call back from security or from Hugh Hefner or from nobody. They took it lightly, and then they found her body. So, but everybody knew that Snyder, that there was something completely off about him. By that January, Dorothy's career was taking her further from the likes of Snyder. When she starred in the comedy, they all laughed alongside Audrey. Dorothy's life seemed to have taken a turn both for the better and ultimately for the worst. The film was directed by Peter, we're gonna go for it, Bogdanovich. We're gonna call him Peter, a man who Dorothy had met in October of 1979 at a roller disco party. Instantly smitten, Peter wanted Dorothy in the movie and more. Filming started in March and wrapped up in mid-July, and for those 5 months, she lived in Peter's hotel suite and later in his home. Suspicious and increasingly frustrated, Snyder hired a private investigator and also bought a shotgun. So see, what's happening here is we have a man who is completely jealous of his wife's success, but in the same sense, it's like he married her and wanted her because he knew how far she would go. But now she's getting all these roles and everything, and basically he's really not needed as much anymore. And I think she's realizing that there is life outside, of Snyder. I mean, and a lot of people said he was very jealous. He was not a very nice man, and a lot of people warned her and the Playboy Mansion about the situation, but no one took it seriously, like, at all. So, but yeah, some people can't be happy for their partner, it's all about jealousy. But it's like, if I'm doing good, you're doing good, I don't know. The murder. And let me tell you something, Dorothy was a beauty. She was beautiful, even though she was in love with her director, Peter. Dorothy felt guilty about leaving Paul Snyder. Snyder made her uncomfortable, but Dorothy remained loyal to caring for him. She was determined to take care of him financially, which would become her final undoing. So it's like, yeah, I don't want him, but I want to financially support him, because it's like, basically he's living off of her stuff. And then they show a picture of Dorothy and Peter, who had an affair in the 1980s, it said. Even Hugh Hefner, who considered himself a father figure to Dorothy, did not approve of Snyder and wanted to see the Scarlet leave him behind. Dorothy had been successful coming face to face with her estranged husband by the summer of 1980, until her mother's wedding in Canada called her back home. There, Dorothy agreed to meet with Snyder. Afterwards, Paul Snyder would receive a formal letter from Dorothy declaring them separate. his meal ticket basically is dropping him. He got a letter in the mail stating that they're separated and she will no longer be financial supporting him. And it's like, dude, you didn't save no money. You didn't save like anything from this success. But Dorothy was not cold as to forget Snyder entirely. She did agree to meet him for lunch on August 8th, 1980 in Los Angeles. The lunch ended in tears and Dorothy admitting that she was in love with Peter. She took her things from the apartment she shared with Snyder and left for what she thought was the last time. 5 days later, Dorothy agreed one more time to meet Snyder in their old home to work out financial settlement. It was 11:45 a.m. when she parked outside the apartment. They were not seen again until midnight. Paul Snyder had killed his wife before turning the gun on himself. The coroner said Snyder shot his estranged wife through the eye. Her beautiful face, that which was making her famous, had been blown off. But forensics were inconclusive because there was so much blood and tissue on Snyder's hands. By some accounts, he raped Dorothy after her death. Judging by the handprints smeared all over her body. There is still a great tendency for things to fall down in the classic glitch of a small town girl comes to Playboy, comes to Hollywood, life in the fast lane. Hugh Hefner said after the murder. Wait, what? There is still a great tendency for this thing to fall into the classic glitch of small town girl comes to Playboy, comes to Hollywood, life in the fast lane. Hugh Hefner said after the murder. That is not what really happened. A very sick guy saw his meal ticket and his connection to power, whatever, slipping away, and that's what made him kill her. I agree. It was a very sick guy, a very sick, lazy guy who just wanted to pimp women, pimp his wife, and rather join a gang than get a job and get money or work for money somehow or another. But what really happened here is he saw his meal ticket and his connection to power slipping away, and the nerve of his wife sleeping with somebody else. Like, what? He snapped. And that's actually it for this article, but there was something else that I saw. Please hold, because there's different articles in regards to okay, then this article is Secrets of Playboy. Now we're back to that stupid documentary. That documentary is so sickening, it's not even funny. It says how Dorothy murder exposed Hugh Hefner's top-down toxic culture. We read in 1980, in August 1980, Playboy of the Year was brutally killed by her estranged husband. Okay, this must have been an article that I was reading because, again, A&E Secrets to Playboy has exposed numerous allegations of sexual violence and exploitation of women. But the most shocking crimes to ever cast shadow of the Playboy empire was outside Hefner's gate. In August 1980, Playmate of the Year Dorothy Stratten was horrifically imprisoned, raped, and murdered by her estranged husband, Paul Snyder. Okay, Mickey Garcia. It was a guy, Mickey Garcia, who was at the time the brand's director of promotions arranging public appearances for Playmates, said on Monday Secret of Playboy, Dorothy Stratten's death was the final straw that did it. It was shocking, and she left. When Dorothy died at the age of 20, Garcia said she could no longer ignore the culture of toxic objectification and sexual abuse that was being held or at a Playboy entry level. Then it says here, in fact, Garcia had personally tried to intervene on Dorothy's behalf when she discovered that Paul had been arrested in Vancouver for dope peddling and pimping. Those are the words she wrote in a memo to Hugh Hefner. And then it says here, I wanted to warn Hef that Dorothy was with a very dangerous man. No one ever answered me, she claimed, and security came back saying they knew nothing of what was going on. She continued and said that Hef did not care, he just did not care. And then it says instead, Hefner looked the other way because he viewed Dorothy as someone who can sell an incredible amount of magazines. She was his meal ticket, and getting involved in her personal life with the controlling Snyder might complicate the two men's mutual beneficial relationship. So again, nobody cared about her. People were only caring about money signs. And then she said she stopped thinking about Dorothy's death. And she recalled immediately afterwards, it was handled poorly. When they got the call around 6:30 in the morning, she was told, call all the Playmates and make sure they understand that they are not to speak to any newspaper or any media. And then Garcia explains how the Playboy had a code of silence. I'm not gonna go into, anything about Garcia because this video is not about her. And then they did something called like a test call, and most of the women who were coming through the testing call for Playmate felt like they had to sleep with Hef in order to get Playmate of the Year. That's just gross. And then you remember, like, one of them was saying that, like, Hefner never wanted to wear a condom, and that he would sleep with like 4 or 5 or 6 girls a day, just. And then someone else was saying, yeah, in order for you to get the Playmate of the Year, you had to do some pretty wild things in the bedroom with Hef and his friends, blah blah blah. I'm just trying to skim through this because there was something else I saw here about Dorothy that I wanted to bring up, but well, anyway, I don't want to continue reading this because this is going off of something that I don't want to, but like this whole that documentary, it was just, yeah, okay, I guess that's it, because this is kind of repeating everything that I just kind of read as far as like her, and she became romantically involved with Peter. It says here that her husband was disliked by 90% of people who met him. shotgun and been found under Snyder's body. And then Peter, the one that she had an affair with, he said that he went out and published a book, The Killing of the Unicorn, where he accused Hugh Hefner and the culture of Playboy of contributing to Dorothy's demise. He also accused Hefner of making inappropriate advances to Dorothy. Of course, Hef denied the allegations. Dorothy's tragic death was motivated not in any way by her association with Playboy, but clearly by the breakup of her marriage. And then it says here, after her murder, the family tried to sue Hefner. A lot of accusations, but as you can know, the settlement was dropped. Without settlement, and Hefner knew what he was doing, but I'm curious. I thought I read somewhere, because I wonder, do we know if she actually slept with Hugh Hefner to get the Playmate of the Year? Let's see. Okay, we did that. Yeah, I think that's it for this video. I don't want to keep going back and forth. It did say here though that she told me something that I never revealed, but I knew Dorothy. I knew the position she was in, and she was really in a desperate situation. She was terrified of what photos and videos may come out on her that you have never filmed. She was afraid of the editing. She was afraid of how they were going to be used. And then it says Dorothy worked as a bunny at the Playboy Club. And then in 1980, she became the Playmate of the Year. And it was at the Playboy Mansion where she was introduced to filmmaker Peter Bogdanovich. Then as the pair became a romantic relationship, her husband got distraught over her marriage ending. And then it says she became very afraid of her husband. She would come to my office, pick up her fan mail, and go through it. She would tell me to throw certain things away because she didn't want to know about them. He was very jealous. People saw her as a huge star. Her life became to an end. It was 20. Yeah. Yeah, I don't want to see. There's something I want to say, but I'm gonna keep it to myself because there was something that I thought that I read that something actually happened to Dorothy at the actual Playboy Mansion, and people heard her screaming or whatever. I don't know. I'm gonna leave it at that because I cannot find it, and I definitely don't want to put out false sexual accusations, so I'm not going there. And plus, my stomach is talking to me, so it's time to eat something. So on that note, guys, I love you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next video for a whole new topic. Love you guys for watching. Until next time, bye.